It
Hello.
is Marcia and Michelle. We are back for another session or episode of Ghostly Gab and Random Thoughts.
Thoughts.
So, today, our topic, we're going to talk about our 2023 year in review. The places we've been, the things we've seen, the lessons we've learned. Um, yeah.
Yeah, don't mind the typo that said we're reviewing 2024 because we're just thinking ahead.
Ah, did I put 2024? I'll be darned.
It's okay. It's all good.
2023. I'm looking into the future. I'm looking
There you go. It's going to
into
be
the
great. It's
future.
going to be great.
Yes, it's going to be great. Hello, Dawn. Glad you could join us. For those of you that have logged on, if you'll just say hello in the chat so we know you're there. Hey, Linda. So we do appreciate you all hanging out with us on a Friday night. We know there's so many other things you can do besides hang out with us, and we really do appreciate it. I want to say thanks to our military. Without you, we couldn't be here on a Friday night talking about ghostly stuff and random thoughts. And um, we know the sacrifice that you make, and we truly appreciate it. Know that you are always thought of, you're always in our prayers, and we appreciate everything you do. For the rest of you, if you will, if you know anyone that might be interested in what we're talking about tonight, which again is 2023 year in review, not 24. Yeah, just the places we've gone and some of the history we've picked up along the way. Please share us out to your friends, neighbors, and coworkers. The one thing that I do want to say before we get started, I'm going to remind you all again, and I'll remind you a little bit later. Christmas is coming. Boo merchandise is a perfect gift for that paranormal person on your list. Michelle's going to throw up a QR code on the bottom here for just a second. It's a big one. And then throughout the evening, we're going to have a little tiny QR code up in the corner. If you're interested at all, please go on there and purchase what you like. We are going to slim the line down the 1st of January. I'm going to take some things off. So if you see it today, it may not be there in January. I'm just going to say. All right. Are we ready, Michelle? Are we ready to get this show on the road?
Absolutely. Let's do it.
Hey, Bev. Glad that you could come and hang out with us, see where we've been. We've missed you and Linda this year. Okay, I'm going to attempt to work the technology and talk at the same time. Well, maybe I ought to not do that. Let me do one thing at a time. Let me work the technology first. All right. Dun, 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 dun. Looky there. So I'm just going to kind of go in order. And Dawn, I think you've been to all of these places this year. So if you've got anything to throw in that Michelle and I might miss, by all means, just throw it right in there.
Absolutely.
So the first place that we went was the old Franklin Jail in Iowa. And this is an interesting place. Well, it's an interesting place because it was a mom and pop jail, and it's very small. And the current owner has got this thing where you can actually pay to be arrested and spend the weekend in the jail.
Arrested.
Yeah, arrested, right? They bring you in, they book you. I don't think they search you, do they, Michelle? They do search you. Okay, so they
Yes.
do the search, they lock you up, and they treat you like a prisoner.
Yes.
Now, I'm not sure who finds that funny or entertaining, but apparently a lot of people do because I think, didn't he say they had 600 or 700 people come through
I don't remember, but there was a
the year
lot more than I
before?
expected.
Yeah, yeah. And they're booked all the time
Hmm.
for people to come and stay in the jail. And to me, that's just crazy, just crazy. But that's how they're maintaining the building.
Yes.
I don't remember exactly how old this building is. It was built in the 1800s. I do know that, but it's very small. It's only got 3 cells in it.
But it's very well kept.
Oh my heavens. It's in very good shape. It was a wonderful place to visit. Now, we didn't catch a lot of activity, although one of the claims is a Cocker Spaniel, I believe. They see the apparition of a Cocker Spaniel. And we saw that. We saw that in the hallway.
I think we caught that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we did catch it on camera. So, but this was a wonderful place to go. If nothing else, for the history of it.
Yeah.
And our little guy, I can't think of his name.
Oh,
I guess I should have written this down. I don't remember his name, but he actually lives upstairs. He's the caretaker. He lives upstairs. He was just a wealth of information, about the jail. So anyway, if you're in that part of the country, Franklin County, Iowa, stop by and take a peek. Like I said, if nothing else, for the history, or if you want to be locked up for a weekend, they're up for that too.
Make your reservation.
Yes.
2 to 3 days or longer.
You betcha. The next place that we went was for our school. You can see that it snowed the weekend that we were there. Nancy and her husband Jim still own it. They are very nice people. They actually live in this bottom left corner here. They've got a little apartment there. But otherwise, we've got the 3 floors of the school to investigate. We did have activity here. Now, this is the place where we caught that thing in the gym.
Our very first video
was
posted on Facebook.
Yeah, 2015, I believe, or maybe 16. I think it was 15. We caught whatever that was in the gym.
Yep.
This was our trip back. I mean, it's been several years, and we wanted to check it out because we've been hearing stories about something dark and negative being in the building, and we just wanted to see, if in fact it had changed. We didn't feel the dark and negative, but I will tell you, up here in this room right here in the top center, we were doing a spirit box session with Michelle. We were doing the Estes method, so she's in. It's me and her. She's in there with the blindfold on and the headphones on. She can't hear anything. And we had the motion censored light, and we had the REM pod. And both of those went off. And I've got this up on YouTube also if you check it out. But both of those went off and scared the crap out of me because it was me and Michelle. She was oblivious, of course, to what was going on. And I got a real uneasy feeling because I was standing in the doorway when they went off, and I'm like, oh crap. And then later on, we were up there doing a session again with Michelle, and Christy was with us, and Melissa, I think.
Mm-hmm. Melissa was there.
Yeah, and myself. And so again, we're just asking questions, and all of a sudden, in the tray of the chalkboard, this cat ball starts lighting up. And we didn't even know the cat ball was there. We had not seen it. It wasn't ours, right? We didn't put it there. We didn't know anything about it. And it lit up and, again, scared the crap out of the 3 of us. Michelle's oblivious to what's going on, but we caught it all on camera. So it is on the Facebook or on the YouTube channel. We did catch all of that. The school's still in pretty good shape. Well worth a visit. It was in operation for 80 years. It closed down, I want to say 2005. Again, I'm really bad. I didn't write this stuff down. But I think it closed down in 2005. But they let folks come in and hunt, and we've caught evidence both times we've gone. So it's well worth it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, the only problems that they had there, which was not paranormal, is they're getting a lot more trespassers.
Yes. Well, and we've heard that from several people, especially
Yeah.
with the larger, more well-known locations. Edinburgh's another one. They're getting a lot of trespassers in. People see it, they hear about it, and they just want to go take a look and try to get in. And actually, their front door, they don't have any damage on the front door, but you can see this like massive footprint where somebody's tried to kick the door in. Um, which is just a shame because these people live there. That's their home.
Right.
Yeah. So for those of you that have just joined us, if you'll just say hello in the chat, that would be fabulous. Asher Walton, Atlanta, Indiana. So when Michelle and I pulled up, we were a little bit disappointed. A little bit disappointed. It needs some TLC on the outside. But, on the inside, it's a whole nother
gorgeous.
Whole nother ball game. And, I guess that just goes to show you that you can't really judge a place by how it looks on the outside. It does need some TLC on the outside. This was interesting because this is where on the second floor, okay, so the guy's given us the tour. I can't think of his name, but he, very nice. They live across the street, him and his wife, and they kind of oversee the place. So he's given us a tour, telling us all about the history, and the current owner bought it to live in it. And such strange things were going on that the owner never lived in it. He's never lived in it.
Right.
So, of course, he's telling us all this and telling us the history of the house. And he takes us up on the second floor, and he said, now the second floor hallway here after dark, it gets a really different feel. It gets a different vibe. So I'm thinking, yeah, sure. Okay. We hear all this stuff all the time. Sure it does. So as the evening progressed and we're up there, we're doing an EVP session and we're in one of the front bedrooms. Well, actually we're in this one that's right here that has the bay window on the second floor. That's the bedroom we were in. We're doing a spirit box session and it's me and it's Dawn and Michelle. Christy's wandering around taking pictures and using the SLS camera. So all of a sudden Christy notices down at the far end of the hallway, it used to be the servants' quarters. It is now a bathroom. It's a pretty large bathroom. Mm-hmm. And we had the motion sensor light in there. And Christy is a good distance away from it. And it turns itself on. Well, of course, it gets her attention. She gets our attention. And we interacted with whatever was down there in that hallway, in that room, for several minutes. They turned the light on and off, the motion sensor light on and off.
Which is not what that's for, because it really is kind of set to its own timer. So that's what made it really interesting.
Yeah, because the light will come on and stay on for 60 seconds and then it'll go off. But the one time it came on and went immediately off. Mm-hmm. It didn't stay on the 60 seconds. And then it came on and it stayed on and it stayed on and it stayed on. And sure enough, just like our guide told us, that hallway takes on a different feel after dark.
Yeah.
It really took on a different feel after dark. So that was interesting. We had some REM pod activity. The room right below that bedroom where that lower bay window is, that's the dining room. We did some spirit box sessions in there. We had some REM pod activity.
Is this the one where you got pinched?
This is where I got pinched. Yep.
We have that video up on YouTube and Rumble also, right?
Yeah. The videos are up there. And I want to show you here, if you look really carefully here on the right-hand side, you can see this tree.
Yeah.
This tree used to be standing right next to this tree. And just a couple of days before we were there, this tree fell. They hadn't had time to actually remove it, but a storm had taken that down. And they had investigators in the house at the time that happened. So I can only imagine how they felt. But yeah, that's what we caught at Asher Walton. Again, the history was amazing. Asher Walton and his wife, they were very generous with their time and their money. They opened their home to the community. Um, he was a banker. He owned the mercantile store. He was instrumental in bringing the railroad to Atlanta. So yeah, this is worth a stop again too. And then literally 2 doors down is the Rhodes Hotel. It's on the same
Dawn,
block. Same
I'm
block.
sorry, Dawn, I haven't planted mine yet either. They're all dried out, so I don't know if they're even going to take root.
Yes, because the girls did take some pine cones to plant from the tree.
Yeah.
But literally 2 doors down
Yes.
on the same block is the Rhodes Hotel. Now we had been to the Rhodes Hotel. Bev, you had been, and I don't know, Linda, I don't think you were with us the first time we went, but we went to the Rhodes Hotel several years ago. Well, we went back. This time, though, we investigated it during the day because our thought process was, it was a working hotel. When is it going to be most active? It's going to be most active during the day. We did get some REM pod activity. We did catch some EVPs there. But the interesting thing about the Rhodes Hotel, I was standing in the kitchen, which is in the back of the hotel on the first floor. And Dawn and Christy were there too, and they were like facing me, and I was looking past them into what would be this front room right here. And I clearly saw, and it's broad daylight, I clearly saw this man walk across the door, right? He walked across the door. And naturally, we didn't have a camera going. Why would we? Of course. So we didn't capture it. But the little gal that caretakes for the place was in the garage in the back. And it was so vivid that I went around and asked her about it, because that's not a claim that anybody had ever made, that they saw, these full-bodied apparitions. But as luck would have it, several months earlier, there was a team there that did have a camera set up, and they caught the same thing that I saw. And she kind of showed us all the video, and it was exactly what I saw. It's a man that just walked across the doorway. He wasn't in a hurry. He just walked across. So, of course, then we decided we were going to set up a camera, right? Didn't catch anything. But
Now,
again,
for those of you wondering, she did not run into the other room, but she did move quickly to stand up to let us know and start heading that direction. But there was no running involved.
No running involved. But yeah, we did investigate this during the day. And like I said, we did have some REM pod activity in this front room around the reception area. And I clearly saw that guy pass by. But yeah, the Rhodes Hotel, it's also got an interesting history.
There's a question.
No, Sarah's room, we did have, Bev, when we went before, once you put that money down, we had an interaction. We did not have any interaction in Sarah's room at all. And down at the other end of the hall was the boys' room. And we caught EVPs and stuff when we were down there the last time. We didn't have any of that this time. Everything we had was down in the main room, like the front door, the entrance where they would come in the parlor. That's where everything was this time. So, but that was an interesting hunt. Mm-hmm. Whoops.
Oops.
Back her up.
Easy
peasy. Okay, so we went back to Liberty School, and we had been at Liberty School last year, and we caught some really good stuff last year, right? We caught the phone ringing, we caught the child laughing, we caught voices down in the basement, in the maintenance area. So we went back again. This time it was completely different. Before, it was in fairly decent shape. This time it was not. It had been raining. The roof had leaked horribly. There was a lot of water in the building it was on the first and second floor, but for whatever reason, it wasn't on the third floor, which you would think if the roof's leaking, it would be on the third floor, but it wasn't.
Right.
It was it was in the basement and on the second floor. And the owner actually met us, Dan met us there, and he was surprised by the amount of water and the damage done to the building. So we were the first team in 2 years ago, and we were the last team that's ever going to investigate it this year.
Yeah.
Right. He's not going to let anybody else in because of the condition of it. The story is that the city won't give them the permits they need to do the work that's needed to put a new roof on and to maintain it, because the city, Ohio City, wants the land. They want to take it by eminent domain because they want to put a Dollar General there, which I'm all for Dollar Generals, but that's the deal. They're trying to force him out. So I look for them to give this property up. But like I said, we were the first team in. We were the last one in. This is no longer open to paranormal investigators.
So we can honestly say we did full circle.
We did full circle. Now, this trip this year was very, very different than the trip last year. There was something very dark and very negative in this building. And it made me very uneasy to the point where we just wrapped the investigation up early. You know, I just said, let's go. so
pretty much.
We went,
pretty much.
Yeah. And I forgot, Lyndon, Bev, you were with us here at this one.
Yes, they were.
So you were at the first, you were at the last. So this is not going to be open anymore to paranormal investigators, which is a shame, because we did catch, we caught some stuff the first time we were there. And the reason we went in the first time was because Dan and the people that worked for him was seeing all this stuff going on and hearing things. They're not into ghost hunting or paranormal stuff.
Not at all.
They are into preserving the building, right? They're just preserving the piece of history. But when they have things like that happen, they let us come in and take a peek. But yeah, I hate to see it go, but it looks like the Liberty School is probably going to be torn down in the near future. This is the Gill House, and from the outside, the Gill House is not looking too good. But again, this is one of those places where inside it is in excellent shape. Mm-hmm. It's got that huge, big, grand staircase. Prettiest staircase I've ever seen, anywhere we've been. We were there, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 years ago. That's where I saw the lady in white, which I was sure never existed, right? Because you hear about the lady in white all the time. Like, the lady in white doesn't exist. Everybody sees her. I saw her. So I got to say, I'm one of those people. Lady in white does exist. And we heard footsteps in the basement. Rodney and Becky made contact with somebody in the basement. They had a lot of equipment going off. I am convinced that there is a portal that goes right through the center of that property, from the basement all the way up to the attic, right in the center, right by the staircase. When you are in that area, you hear things, you see things. That's where the pendulum was going crazy. So I'm convinced there's a portal at the Gill House. So this, again, it's one of those places. It was built in 1908, I think. But it's one of the only Louis Kampker designed residences that's still in existence. So that's what makes this so interesting. If you ever get a chance to go to Galion, Ohio, Gill House, well worth it. Like I said, it looks a little rough on the outside. On the inside of it, it's absolutely beautiful. Now, the front part of it here used to have 2 huge columns, and they've been removed because the guy that removed them, which owned it before the Historical Society took over. He was actually going to tear this down and put up a Taco Bell. And
Jeez.
and the preservation people were able to save it. But by the time they got involved, the two pillars were already gone. And it's going to cost them a fortune to put them back, although they said they're going to put them back. So, but there were two columns right here in the front. Two huge columns, but yeah. So that's the story with the Gill House. All right, Michelle, Bell Mansion.
That is just a cool building.
Tell us what you know about Bell Mansion.
Oh gosh. What do I know about Bell Mansion? I know that it was raining and we kept having to run in and out of the rain. I remember that we were up on, well, actually several floors. We had some REM pod activity. Actually up on the second floor. We heard the elevator, didn't we?
We did hear the elevator and we caught that. We caught the
And
sound of it. And the elevator doesn't work, folks.
it doesn't work.
It
Yeah.
hasn't worked for years.
But another one that is very well maintained on the inside. And this group of folks are really doing their due diligence on the history. They're really trying to make sure that they have it right and they're getting the documentation to support it. They had some of the old pictures up there to, you know, from when it was, yeah, absolutely beautiful woodwork. You're right, Dawn. But I mean, we had some activity that we kind of had to, in our opinion, debunk, simply because, of course, when it was built, there was no central heat and air at the time. And so there was a lot of ductwork, which we were seeing a lot of EMF readings. And it was like
particularly up here on the third floor.
Yeah. And then when we went outside and did some looking and everything, there's some transformers very close to the building there. So we kind of took some of that with a grain of salt, not saying that nothing happened. But at that particular area, we kind of had to take that as maybe not.
Yeah, because we did have a lot of REM pod activity up on this third floor.
Mm-hmm.
And back in the alleyway here, you can't see it, but there's telephone poles like literally up against the building with transformers on them.
Yeah.
So
like several transformers.
Yeah. And I will say that I did a fabulous job getting the Boomobile down that little alley.
You did. You didn't trust me for a half a second.
For a half a second, it's like, I'm not going to make it, but I made it.
Yes, you will make it.
If you ever get a chance, this is in Fort Wayne, Indiana. This home is beautiful. It was built as a private home, but the last 93 years anybody actually owned it. It was a funeral home. They used it as a funeral home. The group that is running this is very, very, very proud of this location.
Yes.
They are proud of the history of it. They love to show it off. They love to talk about it. If you ever have a chance to get to Fort Wayne and see the Bell Mansion, it is worth taking a peek. Of course, it's downtown, but it's worth taking a peek. Now, over here on the left-hand side, you see this little building right here? This is the Pfeiffer House. It is also, now this is pre-Civil War, the Bell Mansion, as is the Pfeiffer House.
Mm.
Pfeiffer House was also very, very historic. Unfortunately, squatters got in there and they have destroyed it.
Pretty much.
So, yeah. So you can no longer go into the Pfeiffer House, but they're paying attention to the Bell Mansion, and the folks there are taking care of it. There's somebody there all the time, and they love it. And you can just feel their passion for this building when you talk to them.
Yes.
So, yeah. So this, paranormal wise, I'm going to say no, but for the historically, absolutely. Yeah. Pineland Manor.
quite a difference in architecture there.
Yeah. And
Oh,
we did these folks in the same weekend. We did it in
yes.
the same weekend. We did the Bell Mansion first, and then we hiked on down to Sumner, Illinois, and here we are.
Yeah,
Here we are. So, and again, for those of you that have just joined us, we're just kind of talking about where we were in 2023. If you have not said hello in the chat, please do. We'd just like to know who's here. Hey, Caitlin, glad to see you. You know, it wasn't the weekend really wasn't that bad because we had it, you know, from Fort Wayne to Sumner really wasn't that far, but the differences in the two places, night and day, as you can
yeah.
see.
Now, we did have rain at both places.
We
This
did.
one had the appropriate atmosphere with the tornado warnings and the severe thunderstorm warnings.
Yeah.
And the roof was maybe for show. It was
Because it
quite the
didn't keep the rain
adventure.
out. It did not keep the rain out. Yeah, we didn't get a drop of rain when we were I mean, it rained at the Bell Mansion. Not a drop on the inside. You couldn't tell
No.
a thing.
No,
Here, you knew it was raining.
you betcha. And the frogs, yeah.
But I will say, this is the first place we've been where we were under an active tornado warning. I will say that. I did have us covered though, folks, because you know I work in disaster. That's what I do for a living. So I did scope out the cleanest of the bathrooms, and by clean I mean didn't have stuff in it, you know, stored in it. I did scope out the cleanest one, so I didn't know where we were going to go if we had to go. And
I
there
was
for
like,
a
where are you
while,
going with that?
well, we had to, you know, shelter in place
Right,
because
gotcha.
there for a while it did look like we might have to shelter in place. It was a bad storm.
Yeah.
So the young guy and gal that own this, very nice folks. They don't know a lot about the history of it. They've been talking to, you know, some of the locals and some of the folks that used to work there.
Mhm.
What I was able to find out about it is we believe it started out as a hotel,
Right.
but by 1970, it was a nursing facility. And it was 98 beds, I believe. It's big. It's big. And by the let's see, 1970, it was a nursing home. By the mid 1990s, it was a home for developmentally disabled adults. It was a residential facility, so they lived there. We don't know when it closed. We don't know why it closed. There has been some talk that, you know, it was abuse of patients. You know, they always say that. There's no record of it. The
Well,
owners, they did not claim that. The owners didn't.
right.
Yeah, the owners didn't say.
The
They didn't claim
employee
that.
that they've been talking with even never said it.
Yeah, yeah, but you see a lot of things online about, you know, abusive patients and all of that, and there's no evidence any of that happened. What I suspect probably happened is this was I don't want to say state-run facility, but the state was paying for the patients, and I think it's lack of money,
Yeah.
like it is always. You know what I mean? Lack of money. It fell into disrepair. They eventually had to shut it down. They did tell us that the roof leaked because we were expecting rain.
Yes,
Roof
because I think
leak-
there's a tarp up there. If
yeah,
not this,
there's a tarp right here.
yeah.
Yeah, there's a tarp right here. Roof leak is an understatement. That is an understatement. At one point, the water was ankle deep on this in here in the entranceway in this first little floor here. But I don't think the owners know that because the strangest thing happened.
It's gone. The
About
water ended up being
yeah,
gone.
about 10 minutes after it quit raining, there was no water in the building. Where it went, I have no idea. Because the
Yeah.
floors are concrete. So, but the water disappeared. So I don't think they realized, well, I told them what happened, but I don't think that they knew at the time how bad the roof really was leaking unless you're there while it's raining.
Right.
Now here we did have, we caught one strange light anomaly. our audio recorders were useless pretty much because of the rain. But Dawn and Christy and Michelle had a good spirit box session in the locker room.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the places where it was a little more quiet and you could hear it. That's posted up on YouTube also. They seemed to get some interaction from the box. And what was said to you, Michelle?
I wouldn't
Release
repeat.
the devil. Release
Yeah,
the
that's
devil
it.
was said, which is kind of crazy. But yeah, so this is Pine Lawn Manor.
Yes, and this is where we decided we need to set some standards.
Which we always had standards before.
Yes, but they were pretty low.
Well, we have not encountered a location that did not have electric and did not have water.
Yes.
The
And
electric,
so, mind you all, we have this thunderstorm, tornado, all this stuff happening, and we are running the truck. So we had a generator in the Boomobile, which is not really the safest place to be.
yeah.
So just saying, that was a lesson learned.
That is one of the
And we
lessons
did
learned.
raise our bar of standard just a little bit.
Well, no electric has never bothered me because we can run on generator power, right?
Yeah.
That's just never bothered me. Not having any water, not having access to a bathroom, that really is an issue. So that's one of the things that we decided that, if the location doesn't have electric and water, we just simply can't hunt it. We just can't, because we're there way too long. We're not some of these teams that go in for 2 or 3 hours. We're there for 10, 12, 15 hours. And, a girl's got to do what a girl's got to do. And, so no water. I'm a little flexible on no electricity. I will say that. I'm a little flexible. But if there's no water, it's got to be a no.
Yeah.
Whispers Estate.
Excuse me.
Whispers Estate is another one. The history of the building is amazing. There has been claims of paranormal activity at Whispers Estates for years. They say that the walls whisper, right?
Which is how it got its name.
Yeah. I mean, the walls actually, you can hear whispers. We didn't hear the whispers, but now we did have some REM pod activity in the doctor's office, which is actually on the left side of the building. You can't see it in this picture, but there's a little build out of a room there where the doctor saw his patients. We had some REM pod activity in there. And then in this front room here, this is the front parlor. We had some activity there. Now the story goes, and it's all over the internet, right? That the person that haunts this place is the 10-year-old adopted daughter of the Gibbons family that lived there. She supposedly died from injuries she got in a fire in the parlor at Christmas time, 1912. We can't find any evidence of that. And the current owner who's owned it, I think he said 2 years, he can't find any evidence of that either. So.
But that being said, for those of you that just saw our recent post, we did find some pocket doors where it's very evident a fire did take place.
Yeah, a fire took place in the parlor. And I did find a report of lightning actually striking the house in 1917 and causing a fire. So I suspect that's probably what caused the fire in the parlor. But we can't find any evidence. We can't find any evidence that Rachel ever existed, to be honest with you. We can't find evidence of a fire in 1912. Nobody knows where she's buried. Nobody knows where she came from. So I got to see a little bit more before I believe the story of Rachel. We did, however, like I said, though, we had some activity with the REM pod. It seemed to be on command. Who knows? Again, this is another place. We can't put a haunted stamp on this one. We did catch a couple of voices also. It's hard to make out what they said, just short little words. But again, you've got a place with a whole lot of history. So it's well worth it. This is in Mitchell, Indiana. If you're ever in town, stop by and see it. Mason House, not too far from us. It's up just over the Iowa state line. We just did this. We investigated this the 20th of October.
Yep.
This video is not up yet. We did have some experience here. This is also a pre-Civil War home. Well, it's not a home. It was built as a hotel.
Right.
1830s, I think. The river is directly across the street. I took this picture, and behind me, where I'm standing, is the river, right? The river has flooded several times. Here is a watermark. You can see, if you can see my little cursor right here. This is a watermark. Here is where it flooded. So this place has been underwater several times.
There's also a mark where a boat hit it at one point.
Yep, a boat crashed into it. We caught some lights in the front parlor, in this parlor here, bottom floor on the right-hand side. Melissa was with us, Michelle's
Different
daughter.
Melissa, yeah.
Yeah, Michelle's daughter. She happened to be with us on this one. And she saw this green ball come across in front of the piano right about the same time that Michelle actually caught. Well, she saw the two orbs, and she also caught them on video. So we do have that. They're not green. She caught something different than what Melissa saw. But shortly after that, I saw the ball of light come through, but it was orange. And I also saw a full-bodied apparition in this one. This front left room used to be a tavern. And on the back side of this room is the dining room. And I was standing in the dining room. Actually, the dining room runs kind of like the whole length of the house here. And I was in this room, but I was standing in the doorway. And I was looking down the length of the dining room. And I just saw him as clear as day come out of the tavern and walk straight across. Scared the bejesus out of me.
Yeah, she was so startled. Melissa and I were there and saw her freeze. And it's like, what's wrong? She goes, I just saw someone.
I just
saw gone.
I just saw like a living, breathing person that was not living and breathing. So this building just sold. This is well worth the history if you're ever in this little tiny town whose name I can't pronounce in Iowa. Right across the Missouri state line, right across from Hannibal, Missouri. It's in a little river town, and it's well worth going to see. This is a bed and breakfast. You can stay there overnight, which we did.
Yep.
We investigated all night long. The thing about this too, we had the crazy Bentonport. Okay. So we had this crazy pendulum stuff happening.
Oh, yeah.
Remember? So the current owners, or they were when we were there, said that the ley line runs from this corner of the house all the way through to the back corner of the house. It's a ley line, right? And they were telling us how there had been people in that said that, their pendulums would go crazy in certain areas of the house. I use my pendulum all the time. I don't know how many of you know that, but I'm like, this doesn't, no. Well, I'm here to tell you, I was proven wrong. I was proven wrong, folks, because in each corner of the house on all floors. Well, I should say this front corner and then this back left corner. The pendulums went crazy for no reason whatsoever. Now, is it a ley line? I don't know. The other thing, and I don't know who came up with this thought, maybe it was Melissa, but yeah, Dawn, even Michelle's necklace started spinning. I don't know if it was Melissa, I don't know if it was Caitlin, whoever came up with it, but we wondered about the water because the place has been underwater so many times. We wonder how close to the surface the water table is. And could it be water that's causing the pendulums to spin? In all the years I've used a pendulum, that's never even crossed my mind. But the next opportunity I have at a location to check that, we'll check that just to see, does the pendulum react to water like dowsing rods react to water?
Yeah.
So,
The only other thing that happened there, well, that's true, Caitlin. It did not do it over the river.
no, it didn't do it over the river, but it did it in these points in the house for whatever reason.
The only other odd thing that I remember that was the light on the second floor. It worked just fine. We went up there, turned it on, turned it off, and it would never turn back on. And that was one of the claims that the homeowner at the time said.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it didn't matter what we did. We could not get that bad boy to come back on.
Yeah. And so we were in here. We spent the night. The owners were actually next door in the carriage house. But again, this is a place, if you're ever in the Bentonport area of Iowa, although it's called, the name of the town's called something different, but Bentonport will get you close enough. It's well worth going to see it. Spending the night, if you're a B&B type of person, well worth it. No, Bev, there's no limestone.
Mm-mm.
There's no limestone. So I don't know. My pendulum's never acted that way. But that being said, I've never tested it. So,
we should have you come out here because we have all sorts of streams and such underground here.
Well, and I wonder about the Gill house. I mean, is there water under the Gill house? And that's why my pendulum goes crazy in that cylinder from the basement to the third floor. Who knows? But we're gonna test that because that's an interesting theory. And then our last hunt of the year was just the 11th of this month. I'm still looking at the video and the audio. It's the Sheridan County Museum. Now, it looks pretty unassuming. This place is huge.
Huge. Absolutely.
It is
Just
massive.
huge. But that being said, it's probably one of the best small town museums that I have ever been to, and we've been to a lot.
Yes. Yes.
They're very well documented. I mean, labeled, very much so about keeping the local history there. Heck, they even have the dried tobacco in the back room still. They've
got everything you can imagine. They've got a military room. They've got a farm implement room. They've got 2 huge, long rooms. It's massive. It's massive. You cannot tell by the outside of this building.
No.
Yeah, Dawn, everything is organized. It's very neat. They don't mind if you touch things. They don't mind if you pick the things up. They do have some things they don't want you messing with. But for the most part, it's a hands-on. You can touch it, you can feel it, you can look at it. And
that quilt was what? Almost 200 years old. That was silk and I forget the other material. That I can't believe still survives.
Yeah. Yeah. And they have just got a ton of stuff. So I'm going to say kudos to the Sheridan County Historical Society folks. They have done a great job. And they have always been very, very supportive of us and our team. Mm-hmm. So we just love going up there. But we were up there in 2015, and we caught some really strange EVPs and some things. I did not post that on, I didn't make a film because, you know, it's a museum. They didn't want it public knowledge. Now, so many things happen, they don't care. Um, so, yeah, if you're ever in Sheridan County, which is Salisbury, Missouri, up north, this is one small town, small county historical society that's worth a visit for sure. Now, I haven't gone through everything, but we did have some interaction with the REM pod on around the quilt when you were talking to Sharon about the quilt, Michelle.
Yes.
The REM pod, you know, was like responding to Michelle. So
We did have the cat balls in the jail and on the bed.
yeah, but we're going to have to do some testing on the cat balls because I'm not 100% convinced about the cat balls, although they did move on their own, or they did light up, I should say. And yeah, there was movement on the cameras by the wagon. They've got a covered wagon,
Original. That made
off
the trip.
off the Santa Fe Trail, folks, that made the trip from Illinois to Sheridan County, Missouri. They know who was in it. They got pictures of the family. Yeah.
Yeah.
This place is amazing. I'm here to tell you.
Yes.
And like I said, this was our last one for 2023. It was just earlier. Well, November 11th is when we were there.
Yep. Veterans Day.
Yeah. So those are all of our official hunts. We did do 3 community events this year. I just want to briefly talk about those. This is Nimrash Cemetery. Again, it was up in Sheridan County. The Historical Society asked me to come up. This is an old cemetery that they knew was there, but it had been overgrown and everything. But they have cleaned it up. They found some of the, you could see some of the headstones. So we took a group out here. We did some EVP work, caught some EVPs out here. So this was a good time, beautiful day. We also went to Hamilton Primary School again. They asked us to come up and have a display and then do a hunt for a fundraiser overnight. So Dawn and I went up. It's really not, we had a good time, but it's really not, their festival is not conducive to ghost hunting. The folks that are there are mainly there, they're coming through for the event. They're mainly there because they went to the school or their parents went to the school and they're interested in the history of the school. They're not really interested in the ghosts. So I think next year, if they ask us to do it, we are going to decline and instead just send them money because they use it as a fundraiser to preserve the school. This is another one.
It has a historical story, a very good historical background.
This school was actually built by a fellow for one of his slaves to educate his slaves. And he actually left the money, the guy, Dr. Hamilton, he left the money 1930 or 1830, he dies. And his slave, which is freed, right? He freed his slaves, but they stayed with him. They actually had the school built. This is the second school. The first one was built of wood. It was on the same site. It didn't stand for 2 or 3 years. It didn't stand very long before they tore it down and built this. So this was built in the early 1840s. It's 4 rooms, 2 down, 2 up, a couple of coat closets. It does have a full basement now. They added that back in the 50s. They dug out the basement. There were 4 rooms across the front here in the basement that were part of the Underground Railroad originally. But like I said, in 1950, they completely dug out from underneath it and added a bigger basement. That's where the cafeteria is. Again, the history of this place is amazing. It's in Otterville, Illinois, just outside of Jerseyville. well worth going and taking a look at this. It was the first integrated school in the nation. And the George Washington was the freed slave that actually his master left him the money and he built this school. Well, George Washington went on to be a successful farmer in Otterville, and he started a scholarship fund. Now you're talking the 1830s, 40s, and 50s, right? He started a scholarship fund for any child, any color in Otterville, Illinois. He was going to pay for the school. That scholarship fund still exists today. It has quite a bit of money in it, from what I understand, because people are not taking advantage of it. It has so much money in it that last year, I believe it was last year, the trustees of the fund approached the Illinois legislature to have the rules changed, which I guess is a big deal. So now it's not just students of Otterville, because Otterville is a tiny little town, and I doubt there are any kids in Otterville. But they changed it to any student in the state of Illinois. So they've got this scholarship fund from this freed slave that's been sitting there for what, 200 years, 150, 175 years. So the story's amazing. Story's amazing. Hamilton Primary School, Otterville. And then the final place that we took the group in Sheridan County, this is the former Johnson home place. Their home was here. They were murdered back in the 1920s, 1927, I believe. Anyway, we came out here. We did a little bit of EVP work. We caught some things out here as well. So, yeah, so we did the two, I guess 3 public hunts is what we did this year. And we'll do whatever the folks of Sheridan County want us to do, because they are always so supportive of what we do. So that's what we've been up to. That's what we've been up to. So let me, before I get too far off here, let me throw up our social media just in case, because we're running right up on an hour. Just in case y'all don't know how to get us, this is how you get us. We're pretty much everywhere. We're on Instagram. We've got our YouTube channel. We're on MeWe and Rumble. Our website, you can go to justssayboo.com. You can go to midwestghosthunters.com. It gets you to the same place. So Facebook, and for those of you that don't care for Facebook, MeWe, that pretty much tells you what we've got going on. We always put our stuff up there. So, and right now, we don't have anything going on. We are pretty much taking a pause until February. We will start back with 2024. This year in 23, about half the places we went, we've been there before. Half were brand new places. Mm-hmm. So far in 2024, every place we've got, and we've got 2 places a month, starting in February and going through August, I believe. Those are all brand new places. We've not been to any of these places before. I want to do some hospitals this year, so we've got some hospitals on the schedule. So we'll just see what 2024 brings for us. Michelle, what am I missing?
Actually, I think you've pretty well touched on about everything.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, let me see what I've missed here. Yep, we do have first priority at Hamilton if we want to go back. Yep. And that we caught some stuff when we were there the first time. I'm here to tell you, we did catch some stuff, and that's on the YouTube channel. I just want to make sure that I didn't miss anything. Nope, I think we're good. So folks, again, thank you so much for hanging out with us. Thank you so much for supporting us. We enjoy doing what we're doing, and we enjoy sharing it with you all. Some of you can come along with us, some of you can't. And for those of you who can't come along with us, we want you to experience it the same way we do. So that's why we do what we do. So, all right, guys, I guess that's it. So until next time, which will be the 1st of January.
Ish.
Yeah, 1st of January ish. Just say boo.